All right, we are doing trigonometric functions. It says write down the following as function values of theta without referring to your textbook. Use the diagram alongside to assist you. So the diagram that we are having alongside is this one. This diagram is called the cast diagram. Cast diagram. So on the first quadrant, all the ratios are what? Are positive. All ratios are positive. On the second quadrant, only sign is positive. The other ratios are negative. On the third quadrant, only tan is positive. The other ratios are negative. On the fourth quadrant, only cos is what? Is positive. And then the other ratios are negative. And all in all, we call them the cast diagram. All right. All right, on A, we are having sine 90 degrees minus theta. Because this one is 90 degrees, we call it the co-ratio. So the answer here is going to be equal to change this ratio. It's going to change to be cos, so we will have cos theta, like that. If we were having cos 90 degrees minus theta, we're going to have sine theta. So you can see that the ratio is changing just because of this 90 degrees. All right. On B, we are having sine 180 degrees minus theta. All right. So now the question is, where are we going to find 180 degrees minus theta? It is found on the what? On the second quadrant. It is found on the second quadrant. So therefore, and on the second quadrant, what you need to know is that sine is positive there. Sine is positive, right? So you will have sine theta like this. That will become the answer. On C, we are having cos 90 degrees plus theta. All right. So we spoke about the co-ratios. We said if it is 90, it must change this ratio, right? Right, it is cos 90 degrees plus theta. So we need to check where we have got 90 degrees plus theta. 90 degrees plus theta, it's on the what? On the second quadrant. And on the second quadrant, only sign is positive. The other ratios are what? Are negative. Therefore, this is cos, so it must be negative, right? So we'll have negative. Now we come to this sine, this 90 degrees that we are having here. The fact that it's 90, that must change to be what? To be sine. So we will have sine theta. And the answer will be negative sine what? Sine theta. On D, we are having cos 180 degrees plus theta. Right, now what we need to do, we need to check 180 degrees plus theta. Where do we have 180 degrees plus theta? It's on the what? It's on the third quadrant. And on the third quadrant, only tan is positive. The other ratios are negative. So therefore, this is cos, so it's going to be negative. And then we will have negative what? Cos theta, like that. That becomes the answer. Right, we are on E now. On E, we are having cos 360 degrees minus theta. All right, we need to go and check where we have got 360 degrees minus theta. So that will be on the fourth quadrant. And on the fourth quadrant, we know that cos is what? It's positive. So we will have cos theta like this. That will become the answer. On F, now F is given by sine 90 degrees plus theta. So we check where 90 degrees plus theta is on our cast diagram. So 90 degree plus theta is on the second quadrant, and on the second quadrant sine is positive. Now after having positive there, we must remember that if it's 90 degrees plus or 90 degrees minus, the ratio must change, right? So we will have cos theta. This ratio is sine, so the ratio must change to cos. So that becomes the answer right there. On G, we are having sine of 180 degrees plus theta. So it's sine of 180 degrees plus theta. Now we check where we have got 180 degrees plus. So it is on the what? On the third quadrant. And on the third quadrant, we are having tan being positive. The other ratios are negative. Therefore, we will have negative sine, because it's 180. This, it does not change now. So we will have sine theta. And the answer will be negative sine theta. H is given by cos 90 degrees minus theta. So we are having cos. So we've got cos 90 degrees minus theta. So what we need to do, we check 90 degrees minus theta, right? So it is on the what? On the first quadrant. Now on the first quadrant, all the ratios are positive. So therefore we will have positive there. And then the fact that this one is 90 is called co-ratio. So this cos must change to be sine. So we will have sine theta there. That right there become the answer. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now on the next one, it says write the following as the function value of an acute angle. All right, so what we can do, we are having sine of 290 degrees. So we will write sine, then we open the bracket. We must replace this number by something that we know, something that we can easily relate to. So I know that if I can say 360 degrees minus 70 degrees, 360 degrees minus 70 degrees, that will give me 290 degrees, right? So now I need to check where I've got 360 minus an angle, right? So 360 degrees minus an angle, it's on the what? It's on the fourth quadrant, and only cos is positive there. So that means sine is negative, so we write negative, and then we'll write negative sine 70 degrees. That right there becomes the answer. On B, we are having tan 197 degrees. So we are having tan 197 degrees. So we have to change this, right? So we will have tan, open the brackets. We need to write the number that we can be able to work with right here, right? So I know that if I say 180 degrees plus 17 degrees, so 180 degrees plus 17 degrees, that will give me 197, right? Good. So now I need to go and check where I have got 180 degrees plus an angle, okay? So I have got 180 degrees plus an angle. I know tan is what? It's positive. So I will have tan 17 degrees being my answer. All right. Now let us do the last one. The last one, we are having cos 120 degrees. So what we can do, we will write cos, then we open the brackets. 120 degrees, we need to change it and write it in a way that we can recognize it. So that we can easily change to 180 degrees minus 60 degrees. Because when we say 180 degrees minus 60 degrees, that will give us what? That will give us 120. Right. Now we check where we have got 180 degrees minus an angle, right? So we have got 180 degrees minus an angle on the second quadrant, right? And on the second quadrant, only sign is positive. Cos is negative, so that means we will have negative cos 60 degrees like this. That right there becomes our answer. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time. Take care.